having this mentoring session and I look at this person that I greatly love, who has helped me in incredible ways, and I say to myself, they've stopped growing. They're repeating themselves. I was sad all afternoon because I had just outgrown my mentor. And I just never wanted to do that. I always wanted that person to be ahead of me, before me, bigger than me. So that's a great question. Are they continually growing? And the next one, are they emotionally grounded? I not only want somebody that has all the qualifications I've talked to, but I want somebody that's solid. And the reason I ask the question, are they emotionally grounded, because I'm giving you one word by the questions. That word's perspective, by the way, is because dysfunctional leaders, and we're getting more dysfunction in leadership and in our culture all the time. Dysfunctional leaders lead out of their issues instead of out of a good perspective. You show me a person that is emotionally challenged and dysfunctional, and I'll show you a person who leads according to what their needs are, not according to what the big picture is. So are they emotionally grounded? Question number, I don't know, 6, which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6. Question number 6. Are they my sponsor? Now, I'm going to have to explain that one because there's a difference between a mentor and a sponsor. A mentor is pouring into my life and helping me, but a sponsor is doing more than pouring into my life and helping me. They're backing me up. They're in my corner. They fight my fights for me. The word by sponsor is the word commitment. I've had a lot of mentors. I've had very few sponsors, but I've had a few. In fact, about a year and a half ago, Tom Phillippe Sr. passed away, and he was a huge sponsor from the time I was 33. I mean, for about almost, not quite, 40 years of my life, he was my sponsor, which meant when I was a young leader, he carried weight for me. He paved the way for me. He was the John the Baptist. He fought for me when I wasn't there. He was always in my corner, and he was more than a mentor. He was a sponsor. He basically said, that's my boy. And you can't touch him, and I'm going to protect him, and I'm going to serve him, and I'm going to constantly look out for him, and if he's with me or if he's not with me, doesn't matter. It's my boy. We're all fortunate if we can have a few sponsors in our life. I've been very blessed. I've had a few, not a lot, but boy, the few I've had made a big difference in my life. The last question goes back to really why I ask who is mentoring me, and that this question's huge, and that is, do they have a greatness that's bigger than their work? Now, you don't hear about this when we talk about mentoring. This is seldom ever discussed, but I'm telling you, it's absolutely essential. This is going back to who mentors me. Most of the other questions I've asked really are questions that we quite understand, but this one, that their greatness is bigger than their work. I'm talking about, what word do I use for that one? Their spirit, the persona maybe, but I think persona gets too wrapped up with charisma, and I don't like that because that's not where we're going here. Let me. I think I can illustrate it maybe better than even give you the right word. I had the privilege for about 12 years to be mentored by John Wooden. Life changing. If I had to list mentors, he would be at the top of the list. And he taught me incredible things. I just live every day principles he taught me in leadership. I remember the first time when I left him after a mentoring session, and he was in a little condominium, and we went down the elevator, or I went down the elevator, he stayed in his condo, and I went to a little parking garage, and then the visitors parked out on the outside, and so I'm walking in my car, and I'm just about to open the door of my car, and I just had this intuitive feeling to turn around, and I turned around, and I looked up, and on the little balcony where Coach Wooden lived, he was standing there, and he was watching me the whole time. And he was waiting for me to turn around. He didn't call my name out. He didn't even say anything. He was just standing there. He was watching a person that he had just spent 4 hours with. And I turned around, and I looked up, and I'll never forget, he had that incredible smile of his and that wave. And I got in the car. And I said, I was with a great teacher today, but I was with a greater man than I was a great teacher. Wow. That's mentoring that changes life. So, okay, maximizing mentor. Who mentors me? That's question number one. Now, when do they mentor me? Great question. If you were in my home office, just to the 10 feet from where I sit at my desk, there's a couple shelves of books. And those books are books that have marked my life. They are there on purpose because at some time in my life I read them. They marked me. They changed me. They transformed me. These were life-changing books for me. I mean, they're not a lot. I really haven't counted them, but I'm going to guess 25. And I've probably read 10,000 books. I've read a lot of books. But these were books that marked me. And every once in a while I'll just go over and pull one out and sit down and look at it for a little bit. And it's just a comforting feeling because they have been great friends of mine. Now, here's what I want you to say. All those books over there that marked my life, there's one word that keeps all of them on the shelf together and that word is timing. And here's what I want you to, I want to make sure we really catch this. I pick up those books now and I read them. And in fact, sometimes I look and I say, well, that wasn't that great of a book. I mean, it's a good book, but wow, that's over in the mark me section. But then I take myself back to when I read the book, and here's what all those books have one thing in common: timing. You see, I read that book when that book spoke to right where I was in the timing of my journey. And so it was a great book, maybe not because it was a great book. It was a great book because the timing was right. That book was giving me what I needed for right now. That's why when we ask the question, when do they mentor us? That's a great question. Because sometimes you could hear the mentor say the same words, but the timing wasn't quite right, so they wouldn't have the same impact. You know, crisis, the reason I'm talking about it now is we're in a crisis. I think this is a huge time to mentor people because I think they're receptive to leadership. I think they're receptive to a crisis. And crisis, what does it do? It moves people. It changes people. It takes people out of their comfort zone. In fact, that's one of the reasons I told Mark, I'm available to you. I'm close to the phone. Why? Because he's leading in uncharted territory. The waves are moving on him, and so availability is huge. But timing is so key. In fact, that's why we're doing these lessons here. This is a timing time. We're all looking for answers. We're all looking as leaders for resources. I mean, the things I'm giving you, I'm assuming you're not only applying them to your life, but you're passing them on. That's why the John Maxwell Enterprise is making this available to you. It's a timing issue. When do they mentor? Here's what I do know. This could be in a teaching in itself. I'm just going to give you the quote because I got to move on. Most of the things we want, but we don't have them. We want them, but we don't have them. Most of the things we want but don't have are just outside our comfort zone. Trust me on that. And so what does a crisis do? It moves us. And it sometimes moves us out of the comfort zone. That's one of the benefits of a crisis. If you're getting moved out of your comfort zone, if you have a good perspective about that, and you're willing to learn out of that comfort zone, and you're willing to look for opportunity out of that comfort zone, there are some good things that happen. So who mentors me? That's the contagiousness of the spirit of the person. When do they mentor me? Timing is so important. What's the statement? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.